The
Sedutan.
Malaysian armor personnel carriers, I can't compliment these guys enough. We needed more guns, so we took the cooks and the supply clerks and everybody else, and we put them on 5-ton and deuce-and-a-half vehicles, 2.5-ton vehicles behind us, and rolled out into the city streets with just as many guns as we could.
Jangan main-main dengan askar Malaysia. Keberanian kita dikagumi tentera Amerika dan juga penduduk Somalia. Ujar mereka, jangan main-main dengan askar Malaysia. Mereka nampak kecil, tetapi apabila di medan perang, mereka tak akan berunduk.
He's like, this guy's my hero. I kept turning around to this little Malaysian driver. I said, you just drive this thing and get it the hell out of here. And he kept turning back.
Kenapa Amerika puji tentera Malaysia? Selama ini, dunia sering memandang Malaysia sebagai negara kecil yang aman, jauh daripada konflik besar dan jarang muncul dalam tajuk utama ketenteraan global. Namun di sebalik imej tenang itu, tersimpan satu kekuatan yang jarang dilaungkan, Angkatan Tentera Malaysia, ATM. Apa yang mengejutkan ramai pihak ialah apabila Amerika Syarikat, sebuah kuasa ketenteraan terbesar dunia, secara terbuka memuji profesionalisme, disiplin dan keupayaan tentera Malaysia dalam beberapa kerjasama dan latihan ketenteraan bersama. Persoalannya, apa yang membuatkan Amerika menghormati tentera Malaysia? Adakah kerana senjata canggih, jumlah anggota, atau ada sesuatu yang lebih besar daripada itu? Jawapannya bukan sekadar besi dan peluru, tetapi nilai, strategi dan mentaliti seorang pejuang.
The Malaysian armor personnel carriers, I can't compliment these guys enough. We needed more guns, so we took the cooks and the supply clerks and everybody else, and we put them on 5-ton and deuce-and-a-half vehicles, 2.5-ton vehicles behind us, and rolled out into the city streets with just as many guns as we could. We drove down a little narrow road, getting close to the Durant crash site, and my vehicle came under an intense ambush. In the process, we were hit by rocket-propelled grenades and gunfire, and I backed out of the ambush, and we started to drive our way around the city, and as we were driving around the city to come into the crash site from the backside of the city, we linked up with a bunch of other Rangers from the Humvees that were trying to make their way back to the base. But quite frankly, the vehicles were so shot up that they couldn't even move anymore. They were being pushed by some of the large trucks. So we stopped what we were doing, grabbed all of the dead and the wounded off of those vehicles, put them on our Humvees, drove them back to the base, got more fuel, got more ammunition, got ready to go back out to get to the Durant crash site. But at this point, our commander, the task force commander, Major General William Garrison, realized we can't keep putting these Humvees in the city streets. They're getting shot to pieces. And these are the light-skinned Humvees. They didn't have armor back in those days. So we asked the United Nations if they would help us, and the United Nations, a couple of countries from the United Nations showed up with armor and tanks. The Malaysians came with their armored personnel carriers, and the Pakistanis came with a couple of tanks, and they met us all at our base. And at about 11 o'clock that night, we all drove back out there together. Me and my men stayed on the same Humvees. 3 of the 4 tires shot flat underneath us and stayed there until 9 o'clock the next morning, fighting back and forth and losing men all night long until the rest of the guys that were out there in the city streets could get on those vehicles and we can drive them back out of the city streets. We became the bullet magnets. If you wanted to kill Americans, come to the streets where all of the Humvees are and shoot at the Humvees, which is basically what happened all night long. The Malaysian armor personnel carriers, I can't compliment these guys enough for their courage. They basically kept a driver and a gunner in those vehicles and then handed the rest of it over to us and said, we'll go wherever you ask us to go. We'll do whatever you ask us to do tonight. We're here to help out. The Pakistanis in their tanks, not so much. They rolled in there, got shot at a time or two, and rolled right back out of there and left the Humvees and these Malaysian APCs in the city streets. So we had so many dead and wounded from our task force that we couldn't put them inside these armor personnel carriers. Big white vehicles with giant UN letters painted on them because they were doing a UN mission. And what we ended up doing is putting the guys that were wounded inside the armor personnel carriers, putting the dead bodies on top, and just letting them hang off of the top of the Humvee or those APCs, armor personnel carriers, which means the blood is just running down the sides of these white armor personnel carriers. And we really stayed there basically until everybody that was killed at the crash site, all of the bodies of the pilots and the crew from those helicopters could be recovered. Yeah, one of the things that was really a challenge for us is the task force ranger. Now, it wasn't just rangers. It was other special operators from the Air Force and from the Navy and other special operators from the U.S. Army over there in the city streets together. And we didn't have the full array of the military capability with us. So we didn't have close air support, and we didn't have naval gunfire, and we didn't have jets and artillery to bail us out. We didn't even have American tanks, though we repeatedly asked for them. When we got in trouble that night, we had to ask the United Nations to come help out, which they did. And again, I can't thank enough the Malaysians for what they did that night. And other forces from the U.S. Army's 10th Mountain Division fighting their way to get to us and fighting by our side that night. The Malaysian armor personnel carriers, I can't compliment these guys enough.
Jangan main-main dengan askar Malaysia. Keberanian kita dikagumi tentera Amerika dan juga penduduk Somalia. Ujar mereka, jangan main-main dengan askar Malaysia. Mereka nampak kecil, tetapi apabila di medan perang mereka tak akan berundur. Itu adalah kata-kata tentera Amerika Syarikat. Askar Malaysia apabila di medan perang, tentera Amerika Syarikat pun tidak seperti mereka. Itu pula kata-kata orang Somalia. Nyata penghormatan itu amat layak untuk tentera Malaysia yang berperanan menyelamatkan tentera Amerika Syarikat yang terkandas di Pasar Bakara selepas helikopter mereka terhempas. Bukan saja tidak berundur di dalam peperangan, keberanian askar Malaysia juga dikagumi kerana semuanya mahu bersama berjuang. Malah, keberanian mereka menimbulkan kesukaran pula kepada ketua pelatun untuk membuat pilihan siapa yang mahu dibawa ke medan perang kerana semuanya mahu bersama. Tidak ada langsung keluhan kerana dipilih berperang, tetapi ramai yang kecewa tidak dibawa bersama bersambung nyawa. Situasi itu tentu sekali dirasai oleh Ketua Company A-19, Regimen Askar Melayu Diraja RAMD, Major Besara Aziz Abdul Latif, yang menjadi orang pertama menerima arahan untuk menghimpunkan pasukannya bagi misi ke Pasar Bakara 22 tahun lalu. Apa yang paling sukar beliau lupakan ialah bagaimana anggotanya terpaksa berlapar ketika berhimpun sebelum peperangan bermula. Hanya kek yang sempat menjadi alas perut sebelum berdepan hujan peluru untuk menyelamatkan 70 anggota elit Amerika Syarikat US Ranger yang ditawan militer Somalia di Lubuk Pengganas.
Pujian Amerika terhadap tentera Malaysia bukan datang secara tiba-tiba dan bukan juga berbentuk retorik diplomatik kosong. Ia lahir daripada pengalaman sebenar di medan latihan, operasi bersama dan misi antarabangsa. Dalam pelbagai latihan ketenteraan bersama seperti KARED, Cooperation Afloat Readiness and Training, Rim of the Pacific RIMPAC, serta latihan darat dan laut bersama US Indo-Pacific Command, tentera Malaysia sering dilihat sebagai pasukan yang cepat menyesuaikan diri, berdisiplin tinggi dan sangat profesional. Pegawai tentera Amerika sendiri pernah menyatakan bahawa anggota ATM, khususnya dari pasukan khas, Tentera Laut Diraja Malaysia, TLDM, dan Tentera Udara Diraja Malaysia, TUDM, mempunyai tahap kecekapan yang setara dengan pasukan elit antarabangsa, walaupun datang dari negara yang tidak memiliki bajet pertahanan sebesar kuasa dunia. Apa yang membezakan tentera Malaysia ialah latihan berasaskan realiti. ATM dibesarkan dalam persekitaran hutan tebal, cuaca ekstrim, operasi anti pengganas, dan peperangan tidak simetri. Sesuatu yang tidak semua tentera dunia miliki. Amerika melihat kelebihan ini sebagai aset strategik, terutamanya dalam konteks keselamatan Asia Tenggara. Pasukan seperti FAT-9, Pascal, PASCAU dan JJK sering mendapat perhatian kerana kemampuan mereka bergerak senyap, bertindak pantas dan membuat keputusan tepat di bawah tekanan. Dalam latihan bersama, pasukan Malaysia bukan sahaja mengikut arahan, malah menyumbang idea taktikal yang kadangkala mengejutkan pihak lawan latihan. Amerika juga memuji kepimpinan pegawai ATM yang tegas tetapi berprinsip. Mereka melihat tentera Malaysia sebagai pasukan yang tidak angkuh, tidak gelojoh dan tidak mudah panik, walaupun berhadapan dengan simulasi ancaman berisiko tinggi. Ini adalah kualiti yang sangat dihargai dalam dunia ketenteraan moden. Selain itu, penglibatan Malaysia dalam misi pengaman PBB di Lubnan, Bosnia, Somalia dan Timur Tengah turut mengukuhkan reputasi ATM di mata dunia. Amerika mengiktiraf peranan Malaysia sebagai pasukan yang berkecuali, dihormati penduduk tempatan dan berdisiplin tinggi, sesuatu yang sukar dicapai dalam kawasan konflik. Yang paling menarik, walaupun Amerika memiliki teknologi canggih, mereka tetap belajar daripada pendekatan Malaysia, khususnya dalam operasi hutan dan peperangan gerila. Ini membuktikan bahawa kuasa sebenar bukan hanya pada senjata, tetapi pada pengalaman dan kebijaksanaan medan. Tentera Malaysia juga dikenali kerana kesetiaan kepada prinsip, bukan kuasa politik. Amerika melihat ATM sebagai institusi yang stabil, tidak mudah dipengaruhi dan sentiasa meletakkan keselamatan negara di atas kepentingan lain. Dalam dunia yang penuh ketidaktentuan geopolitik, kestabilan ini sangat bernilai.
There, so not only were we hosts on the show,
And they're
but
not
we were,
used to that, blocking cameras and stuff, so that's another safety issue.
yeah. So not only with like the safety of the operators in mind, the safety of the hosts, but we also had to consider the safety of the camera operators, everybody else around us. So it was difficult. It wasn't like, we're going to do this entire break to contact and just get where you don't get shot. No, it was like step by step. So it was really controlled. But it was very fast paced. So the second we could call a ceasefire and like, hey, position that camera over here because it's more advantageous to get a good shot. And so you don't get, back blast to the face from this love bar. Let's do that. But it was still super cool. They also did, some of the gnarliest SEER training I've ever seen. They showed us kind of, their selection process. So this was one episode that we got a little bit of exposure to see what it takes to be there. And they were doing a long march. It was like 100K movement over 3 days, like no food, no water, like just walking forever. Yeah, pretty good group. And then immediately after that, swamp survival. And when I say swamp survival, they give them you're almost completely naked. You're in like PT shorts. I had like ranger panties on and your boots. And then they gave them your rifle, your Alice webbing, a machete, and a coconut to eat out of. And they say, survive for 10 days in the mangroves. They teach them how to, make shelters above the ground because the water will come in. And they, teach them how to forage for food and basically to just survive off nothing. And they're covered head to toe in mud because it keeps the insects from biting them. And it also provides natural camouflage. And we get out there and, I never seen anything like this. And they're like, okay, yeah, you guys are going to stay here for a little bit. Start mudding up.
You didn't have to do the whole time.
We were there maybe like for a day. And, the crazy part that like kind of was behind the scenes.
Crabs, fruits,
Crabs, snails. We ate a python, like a 14-foot python and a lizard. Yeah, but those dudes I felt so bad for. Was, you'd think it'd be pretty relaxed. Like, I mean, the more you move, the more energy you're expending, meaning the more you have to eat. So a lot of them are just kind of chilling out. But the craziest thing is if they don't, there's still consequences out there because they're going through selection. So their consequence isn't.
He's like, this guy's my hero.
I kept turning around to this little Malaysian driver. I said, you drive. You just drive this thing and get it the hell out of here. And he kept turning back saying, no, we stay. And just kept saying, we have to stay here. I couldn't figure out. I thought everything was, once the vehicles got there, we were going to take off and leave. But I didn't know that, Walcott was still in the aircraft.
When we got in trouble that night, we had to ask the United Nations to come help out, which they did. And again, I can't thank enough the Malaysians for what they did that night. And other forces from the U.S. Army's 10th Mountain Division fighting their way to get to us and fighting by our side that night. So we asked the United Nations if they would help us, and the United Nations, a couple of countries from the United Nations showed up with armor and, tanks. The Malaysians came with their armored personnel carriers, and the Pakistanis came with a couple of tanks, and they met us all at our base. And at about 11 o'clock that night, we all drove back out there together. The Malaysian armored personnel carriers, I can't compliment these guys enough for their courage. They basically kept a driver and a gunner in those vehicles and then handed the rest of it over to us and said, we'll go wherever you ask us to go. We'll do whatever you ask us to do tonight. We're here to help out. The Pakistanis in their tanks, not so much. They rolled in there, got shot at a time or two, and rolled right back out of there and left the Humvees and these Malaysian APCs in the city streets.
Pujian Amerika terhadap tentera Malaysia bukan untuk menaikkan ego, tetapi satu pengiktirafan terhadap kualiti sebenar, sebuah angkatan yang jarang menonjolkan diri. Malaysia mungkin tidak mempunyai kapal induk atau ribuan jet pejuang, tetapi kita memiliki tentera yang berjiwa besar, berdisiplin dan berprinsip. Itulah sebabnya kuasa besar dunia menghormati kita. Bukan kerana takut, tetapi kerana percaya. Kisah ini mengingatkan kita bahawa kekuatan negara bukan diukur melalui saiz atau kekayaan, tetapi melalui nilai, latihan dan kesetiaan mereka yang sanggup mempertahankannya. Apabila Amerika memuji tentera Malaysia, itu bukan sekadar kata-kata. Itu adalah mesej kepada dunia bahawa di Asia Tenggara wujud sebuah angkatan kecil yang berdiri teguh, tenang, bersedia dan tidak boleh dipandang rendah. Dan sebagai rakyat Malaysia, mungkin sudah tiba masanya kita sendiri lebih menghargai wira yang menjaga negara ini dalam diam.
Itulah cerita Malaysia untuk kali ini. Share dan subscribe TV Rosak Studio. Kongsikan pandangan anda di ruangan komen. Jumpa lagi di video seterusnya.